Hey everybody, welcome to my Suburban Oasis. My name's Soleil and I garden in mid-Michigan and I'm gardening in a Zone 5B. Welcome to all the new subscribers. I really appreciate you joining. Thank you so much for being here and thank you for all of your wonderful comments. Just to do a couple of quick answers for folks who had questions last time, and for those of you who are new subscribers, I did have knee surgery in March, so you will see from time to time I may have this tape on my knee. That's to help stabilize my kneecap. I tore my ACL earlier on this year and had surgery to have it reconstructed. So it's a long process and a journey, and that's part of the reason also why I'm not doing a lot of planting videos this year, because I'm not able to do that as well. So today we're doing a garden tour and I think you're going to love it. We have some amazing things every week that are showing up. I'm not going to lie, it has been super hot here, and so some things have had a bit of a toll taken on them due to the heat and the strong wind, while we had strong drying winds at the same time as high 90s, heat index in the 105 degree range, and that lasted for quite some time and we haven't had a lot of rain. But there are some good things. So let's take a walk and a stroll through the garden and I'll show you what's growing on and what's blooming. Let's go. I just want to start off by showing you this planter, because this lobelia right here, if you've watched my videos recently, I did a clearance plant haul and this was one of those plants, and I went off with their heads and chopped it right down, and you can see how beautifully this one is coming back and the other one is doing just as well. So it doesn't take long for them to get rehab. And then this is one of the geraniums that was a clearance plant. Right here, as we get started, you can see that the phlox are really thriving right now. So on our right, we have the Pinkadot. This is an opening act series of phlox that is from Proven Winners. And on our left, we have the Ultra Pink phlox. And this is also part of the Opening Act series. Behind that we have some beautiful purple penstemon that is just starting to open up its blooms. And then finally, behind the Pinkadot phlox, we have a lighter version that's slightly shorter that is called Opening Act Blush. Isn't that gorgeous? And you can see in this small path area that the geraniums that are the cranesbill geraniums are blooming really well in the foxglove. I have yet to plant up this pot this year, and I need to do that, but I'm going to have to get my husband's help because that is a heavy pot to get out of that area. Over here, I'm just going to show these pots really quick because I have a hydrangea. This is the, let me think here, Firelight, I believe it's called, and it is just getting ready to set some buds. And then this is a dwarf cherry tree that I have just created in a tree form. And really exciting time right now, hydrangeas are just getting ready to bloom all throughout the yard as well. So looking forward to seeing them next week. They may be really taking a more prominent role in the garden. I've cut back the salvias in this garden bed, and as you can see, they are beginning to set new buds, which means that we'll be getting a second set of blooms. And they bloom on and off throughout the rest of the summer. Nothing quite as exciting as when they first bloom, but certainly still wonderful to have them. These urns that are near the fountain are really beginning to fill out, and you can see that some of the purple prince snapdragons that, were they purple? Black prince, that's what they're called, black prince snapdragons. They're very deep, rich color, very velvety looking, and that seems to be a color that I have more of in my garden this year than I did last year. It's always interesting. Sometimes I must get on certain themes and not even realize it, but I think that one's really beautiful. The August moon hostas in this garden bed are really thriving, and you can see that the penstemon is still blooming really well here. as well as the dianthus. The spireas are still going. My mock orange, I got a lot of questions after last video as to what variety this is because the blooms were so spectacular, and I think the heat wave really sapped a lot of the moisture out of the blooms, and so they didn't last as long as I hoped. But this one is called Snow White. Really, really beautiful variety of mock orange and has a wonderful scent. My all the rage roses are starting to bud up and they're putting on blooms, and soon we'll be getting some of the Millennium Allium along with lots of daylilies here, and I have quite a few different varieties of daylilies, so looking forward to seeing those blooms this year because some of them I did plant at the end of the year. This is a berry white hydrangea, and this one is setting up to bloom as well, and that is a panicle hydrangea. So it'll be nice to see that one bloom. Now behind us right now, as we're looking on, is the firelight hydrangea, which is just starting to open up. And you can see all the way at the tip top we have tons of blooms along with this lower bush. And I could not bring myself to cut off that really tall branch, and I may yet make a standard out of that at some point because that is a really, really tall branch that could make a beautiful tree form. So that may happen. And then over here, you guys, we have the campanula. This is like a little balloon flower. It is just getting ready to open, and I can't wait to show it to you when it does because it's a beautiful pink bellflower. I just love it. It's so beautiful and dainty. I can see something has been in here taking some bites out of it, and I did see a juvenile groundhog in my garden earlier eating lettuce. So I'm going to have to make sure that we get out here and spray with some liquid fence so that we can keep those pesky animals out of the garden. The Rose Marvel Salvia is just continuing to bloom. I did do some deadheading, and that Japanese maple behind it is just thriving. Someday I'm probably going to take this arborvitae globe out of this garden bed, but right now I just don't have the physical capacity to do that, so maybe next year. We have lots of yellows still from the blue spruce sedum along the edge of the garden here. And the foxglove has really perked up amongst this clematis. And I don't know what clematis this is. I ordered it probably 15 years ago, so if any of you know what this is, it's a very dainty flower, very delicate looking, and a deep, deep, rich purple. Just a single flowering variety, very beautiful, and I enjoy it a lot, but I don't know what it is and would love to know the name. And then back here we have a rose that was supposed to be the Grace and Grit rose, so it was supposed to be pink and white when I bought it a couple of years ago, and it turned out to be red. But that's okay. So I'm just going to leave it there for now. You can see these particular caramel heucheras actually got a lot of wind damage because it's been so dry and hot. The leaves are kind of curled up there. It will be okay. It's just going to take a little bit of time. It even stayed hot during the winter or the nighttime temperatures, so it wasn't able to cool down overnight. Here we have the Midnight Masquerade penstemon, which mingles really nicely, I think, with some of those flowers from the plum pudding heucheras here. And then we have the tiny diamond Asiatic lily that is starting to bloom. And doesn't that just blend in nicely as well with some of that heuchera? I love some of the pops of color. It's so fun to play with color in the garden. I hope you all enjoy playing with color in your gardens and do things that you find to be beautiful. These up front are some of the watermelon carnival, and one is called peach something. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but they're beautiful colors, these heucheras. And then I have a cappuccino flower that's coming up right here. It's a rudbeckia, and it is called cappuccino, which is what drew me to it. So I'm looking forward to seeing that one bloom this year. I do like coffee and cappuccino, so I thought I'd give it a try. So we have some beautiful things going on right over in this area. The dianthus is still blooming, but it is starting to fade after its first full big flush. So you can see right here, I wanted to show folks who asked me, what do I do with them after they bloom? I cut them back. So I just shear them back. And for me, I have so many of them that it can be really easy for me to just take out the hedge clippers and go down the row and clip off all of the deadheads, and then it will grow back and put on some more blooms. We have, again here, we have the opening act white. I was trying to figure out what the name of these were last time, but that's the name of them, just plain white. And then we have the ultra pink again, and then the beautiful Eden rose behind it. I love the layers of this Eden rose. Isn't that beautiful? And then here's some more of that deep, rich, velvety color in some Asiatic lilies. And I do not know the name of these. These were on clearance last fall, so I planted them up. And I think they're beautiful. They're really shiny, and they look almost like a satin. And behind those we have another quickfire hydrangea that's getting ready to bloom. And I do believe this clematis with the very big bud on it is going to be the diamond ball clematis. I have not seen it bloom yet. That one was one I planted last fall as well. So looking forward to that one. Now here are some other heucheras that got some heat and wind and sun damage. Right here, these are the bilberry heucheras. I had moved these here, so they were rather new to this spot, and they definitely took a little beating this week. That's okay. It's gonna be getting better again here soon. It's gonna be cool tonight in the 50s, so they're all gonna have a chance to recover and begin regenerating. We have some more Midnight Masquerade penstemon here, along with some daylilies that are starting to put up their bloom spikes. And we have, I'm going to show you this just so you know, in case you have never seen it before. We have some poison ivy growing through our fence from our neighbor's side, so we'll be having to take care of that soon. And it's not to be mistaken for what's creeping over here, which is the Virginia creeper. They look very similar, but the leaves are very different. The Virginia creeper has 5 leaves, and the poison ivy has 3 leaves. And I'm definitely allergic. Some people do not have a reaction to it, but the oils in the poison ivy are definitely something I'm allergic to, so we'll get that out of there. Things are looking really nice over in this bed. We have some of the foxglove now perking up above the hostas and heucheras. And I did a little bit of cleanup in this bed, just a little cutting back. We had the royal catchfly in here, and it had lots of pink blooms on it, and they were pretty spent. So now it looks a little bit more simple with that beautiful violet dusk penstemon in the front. And then back behind it, that black onyx pearl. Is it black onyx? Onyx pearl? The heuchera that is so deep and dark. I also cleaned up some of the PRS, so got some of the dead branches off of it. And my apple tree has some apples that are growing. They're getting a little bit bigger. I know they're not going to get that big this year, and they may not get big enough or edible enough to eat this year, but I sure am enjoying watching them grow. I've even had to water. Our grass is not looking very green. It looks a lot more like what it normally looks like in maybe the end of July than it does at the end of June. It's just, again, been hot and dry these last couple of weeks. Brutally hot. But these wave petunias are doing really well, and my dahlias in this container are starting to bloom. And that's exciting, and I'm really loving the way that this dogwood container looks with that black Prince snapdragon and the wave petunia. I love how the snapdragon picks up the colors in the leaves that have the new growth on them. So pretty. And so here we have some more ultra pink phlox that are stealing the show right now in this garden bed. I bought a couple of them on clearance last fall, divided them up and spread them throughout the garden in areas that I thought they would look good in. And I have had to water this bed quite a bit as well this week. Just trying to keep things growing and thriving, but I can't believe the astilbes are still not blooming. They're just holding out on me. Not sure when we're going to get those pink blooms, but they're definitely getting close, aren't they? Now the Annabelle hydrangea, on the other hand, is really starting to pop. Isn't that beautiful in the shade? I love how the white and limey green color just comes through. And the giant blue hosta leaves near it. This garden is really thriving back here still. I've had no problems whatsoever with it. I don't want to jinx myself, but things are going really good. And just look how big the leaves on this heuchera have gotten. That's my hand, and that's the heuchera. I didn't expect the leaves to get that big. They're beautiful, and I love the colors on there. Now this is the Pinky Winky standard hydrangea, and I don't think it's getting any buds. It's one of the later ones to bloom. Yep, this one doesn't have any buds on it just yet, but probably in a couple more weeks we'll start to see some. There are some charts out there if you look around and want to know when a hydrangea will bloom, because, like, for instance, Proven Winners has all of their lineup, and they have a listing of when they start to bloom, so you can kind of time the sequence of blooms if you want. Here's my Little Mermaid bird bath bowl that I got at a local nursery. The robins love this, along with the fountain. They're probably the birds that enjoy bird baths in my garden the most. Now let's take a look over here at the half moon bed. The nasturtium are blooming their heads off, but I am having some problem with the soil that is in these containers. So they don't look that great to me. They're kind of yellowing because I cannot keep the moisture level correct. So the type of soil that I used in here is like a moisture control mix that is organic from Miracle Grow that says, everything would have gone to the landfill instead. I guess I don't really recommend it for pots. It's supposed to be potting mix, but I don't recommend it for that. Might be better as more like a compost or for a veggie garden or something like that. And here we have another rose, and behind it more of ultra pink phlox. And this is that high voltage rose. Doing really well. And the hibiscus, the hibiscus is really beautiful. They're getting very full. The heat has really set them into strong growth. And I'm loving how we're beginning to get a little bit more coverage by the bushes back here and the shrubs. My goal is to eventually grow these together. They're supposed to get big enough where they should be able to touch each other so that I can grow a small hedge behind these chairs, just to kind of block it off from the fire pit area over there and create a little bit more of a room feeling here. And that's the golden vickery privet right there. Just look how curly the leaves look on this 7 sunflower. Aren't those pretty? They almost look like those, those chains you used to make in school, where you would make loops of paper and tape them together and make these chains that would hang. That's what it reminds me of. It's just beautiful. Those perfect little buds. I'm letting some carrots go to seed right now in my potager garden over here. So they're getting ready to flower. And I am a little disappointed to say that while my strawberries are making quite a few strawberries, the chipmunks are still managing to get under many of these cages. So we'll see how many I get. I've gotten about 2 handfuls so far. But the peas have been producing well, and I have gotten lots of those. And they're definitely fun to just come in and snap off. Look at all these peas, yum. I gotta pick some right now. Even more over here. And so this garden is doing quite well. The zinnias that I planted are just getting ready to bloom, I think. And I have some new pots that are over here that I just potted up. Well, they're not new pots, they're just new flowers in them. And so I have a scaviola, and then it's just like the Mystic Spire salvia, but that's not what it's called. It is called Sally Fun Blue Emotion, and it is an annual salvia. And I had the Mystic Spires version last year and loved that. And I have the Fancy Finch Ajuga here. So I think that will look pretty as that fills in. And we have some more dahlias over here that are getting ready to bloom. Here's one of the zinnias. These should be the Purple Prince variety. Always so much to look at in the garden. Now a show-stopping view right now is over here at the shed. Isn't this just fabulous? It just looks like poofy clouds of flowers. So these are again, the opening act phlox. I have the Pinkadot are the almost white color. The opening act blush are the ones that are the light pink. And then we have up front the dark pink clematis. And then we have the candy coral berry. That is the shrub in the back. And that's going to put out some really tiny pink flowers soon, and the pollinators really love those. And it will make berries that are a very light pink color. And then we have hydrangeas over here that are getting ready to bloom as well. They have that beautiful lime color on them now. I love how they fill this area in. And then some salvia that's blooming in front of phlox, and more dianthus. And then we have the strawberry Sunday hydrangea here, which is also budding up. I love the Concord barberries in this bed, that deep rich purple. Oh, and the pink mink clematis, you guys, that's getting ready to bloom. I don't know if you can see all of the teeny tiny buds all over it, but they're everywhere. So there should be some prolific blooms that are going to happen in the next, I don't know, week or two. We'll see. Now, always looking tidy and beautiful and put together is this bed. It really is quite low maintenance. I do need to come through and still do some trimming on the boxwood because it has been so hot, you guys. I don't want to stress the shrubs out, so I'm waiting. It shouldn't be too long, I don't think. Hopefully. As usual, as I'm giving you guys this tour, we have quite a breeze going on right now, so hopefully it's not too bad in the microphone. We have some barberries in here. The orange rocket is not very orange right now because it's not putting on too much new growth and doesn't have a ton of sunshine on it in this bed. It just gets the west sun, but I think it still looks really pretty with that color. And we have some Virginia up front with the bright, waxy, shiny leaves. And then a limoncello barberry here. And a spilled wine weigela here. And then, of course, all of the hostas and the Father Gilla bush. Which is a really striking blue still. I swear it just gets more blue as the season progresses. This is a Francis William hosta. Isn't that giant? That's probably 4 feet across at least. And I think this big blue one back here is the humpback whale. But the leaf on that is bigger than my head. It's amazing. Hostas are such tough plants. And then look at the beautiful maidenhair fern coming out from under it. Such a cool spring. Now this, if you watched my video in the back with the woodland garden, this is the same gold edger that I have around one of the garden beds in back, but you can see the leaves are a little bit wider because this one is very established. It's been here for probably 7 years. This is the mother plant that I have continued to take plants off of as it spreads wide. I have trimmed back the pink sparkler bush here, so it will likely put on some more blooms soon. And my hollies over here, my ilex, these are the sky pencil hollies. They're so cute with these beautiful little blooms on them all over them. Isn't that amazing? Oh, there's that wind again. I just want to take you over here to give you a little update on the front porch. I haven't showed you that area for a while. The boxwood that is in the shape of a cone has been forming up really well. I just trimmed that one up. And we have, I think these are called like rainforest surprise hostas in front of it, with the variegated sedum as well. And then over here we have some coleus that I grew from seed with the 2 boxwoods. And then I had planted this window box full of violas and violets, and I just took some out, and I have divided this caladium, which is part of the Heart to Heart series, and just planted those in the other day, so they're kind of adjusting to this. It'll be interesting to see them grow on. I had gotten some caladiums from the Longfield Gardens bags that they sell at Costco, and unfortunately the ones that I got were no good. They were rotten. I tried to grow them on anyways, but they did not grow. So here we just have some geraniums, pelargonium geraniums. And this is my PG hydrangea standard, which has lots of buds on it and is just getting ready to push out some small flowers here. I've been trimming up the eastern snowball bush that I have over here. And this area actually looks a whole lot better than it used to. It was really hard to find plants that will thrive here, so I've gone to hostas, and then these small blue shrubs that are in the front are called, I believe, rosemary ice rosemary. I have to look them up again. They're beautiful. I love the color of them. I'm glad they survived. I wasn't sure if they would do well in our clay soil because they say they like the peat. So we have another hydrangea here with some bedazzled hostas underneath, and the Dreamland geranium in front of that with its cute little very light pink flowers. And we're getting ready to see some blooms on this betony plant. This is a member of the lamb's ear family. And then all of this liatris is going to be putting out some blooms soon. And over here we have the first bloom on a Cleopatra coneflower. The pretty beautiful buttery yellow. It's one of my favorite colors of yellow to use in the garden because I don't really like the other colors of yellow in the garden. How do you all feel about yellow in the garden? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you use it a little? I'm interested to hear. It seems like people have a fairly strong opinion on it one way or the other. This garden bed is looking a little sad. It's pretty dry. I cut back my salvia and it got super hot right after that, so it hasn't regenerated yet, but it will. It just is going to take a little bit longer than it normally does. But we have lots of purple coneflowers all throughout this bed with tons of buds all over them ready to bloom. And the clematis in these pots is doing really well and has 1 or 2 buds on it. So we should be able to see those flower this year, which is great. And you can see the rhubarb in this pot is super happy back here. Definitely requires a lot of water, but it's enjoying its time. You can see this coneflower is actually beginning to open up, which just speaks to how hot it is because we usually don't see these until sometime in July. And we're still not yet to the end of June, so Now in this bed I have some new grass. These are, I think it's called True Blue Fescue, and it's from Monrovia, and these were on clearance, and I thought they picked up really nicely from the blue that is in the juniper, and so I added them to this bed, and I think that will be a nice color addition on this corner. In this bed, the elderberry is still blooming, and I think that's really pretty. And this coneflower is about 3 feet tall. Last year my coneflowers probably got about 5 feet tall. But here's another coneflower that's already starting to bloom. Does anyone else have flowers that seem to be ahead of schedule? Mine are on such a strange schedule this year. It's like some of them are blooming really soon and others are really slow. Here's a scabiola. Isn't that one pretty? And then we have some penstemon that this bumblebee is enjoying right now. The bumblebees really like the penstemon. And then the front sunbed is looking really nice. I have cut back a few salvia that were in here just to deadhead them. But there's still a little bit of flower power left in the Maynite salvia here. And I love how the seed heads of these Schubertii look up against them, because now they really look like fireworks after they've been pollinated, and they're getting ready to form seed heads, or they already have seed heads on them. Isn't that gorgeous? That's something else. We have some snapdragons I tucked into this garden as well. And then the bobo hydrangeas here have buds on them. And these orange racket barberries are doing really well. They have a little bit of new growth, so you can still see some brighter colors on them. And they also get full sun. And then we have our drumstick alliums right here that are getting a little bit bigger, and will probably be popping open in a couple days. Maybe even tomorrow, because it's supposed to be sunny the rest of the week. But they're all throughout this bed, and they just look so cute. I have trimmed up this oak leaf hydrangea, and I might be getting a bloom over here, you guys, which is pretty exciting. I haven't really seen a big bloom on this guy before, but I haven't had it in the garden for very long. Over here I have more bobo hydrangeas, and they are also putting on some buds. So I think it's going to be really fun to see the hydrangeas as they pop. And then down here we have some firefly amethyst, and this is a yarrow. And then over here we have a goldfinch daisy, Shasta daisy. So those are going to be coming out soon as well. Well, thank you so much for joining me on the tour today. I definitely have talked a lot, but I hope you enjoyed it. And again, I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are on the color yellow in the garden. Do you use it or not? What do you think about it? If you do use it, tell me how you like to use it. Like, do you match it up with other yellows, or do you create strong contrast against other colors? All right, everybody, have a great time. We'll see you later. See you next time. Bye.